Members of the Commission, I am Collette Flanagan, founder of Mothers Against Police Brutality, a United States NGO that is dedicated to ending police violence against the public, particularly Black people who bear the brunt, the greatest burden of this official oppression. It is an honor to address such a distinguished international group of scholars, activists, attorneys, and defenders of human rights. I am proud for Mothers Against Police Brutality to stand with the International Association of Democratic Lawyers, the National Conference of Black Lawyers, and the National Lawyers Guild in this effort to shine a light on the ongoing, documented, everyday violations of human rights in the United States. I started MAPB because Dallas police killed my son in Dallas, Texas. My only son, Clinton Allen, was only 25 years old, an unarmed young Black man, father of twin boys. On March 10th, 2013, Clinton was shot 7 times, 5 times in his upper chest, one in his upper right arm, and one fatal shot at close range to his back. Clearly, an execution by any measure of reasonable standards. When the paramedics arrived, they found Clinton handcuffed on the ground and in a pool of his own blood. The officer had handcuffed my dead son after killing him. And this trouble officer is still an officer with the Dallas Police Department. There were no charges, no indictments, no trial, no conviction, and Clinton was lost to us forever. This lack of accountability is not uncommon in the United States, where a handful of prosecution of police that kill over 1,000 people each year are statistically insignificant. In the city of Dallas, the year that Clinton was killed, police shot 20 people and 6 were fatal. Each deadly shooting was found to be justified. In fact, every single police shooting in Dallas, Texas since 1973 had been found to be justified despite hundreds of official killings. There were no charges, no indictments, no trial, or no punishments. We learned while investigating my son's case that the Dallas District Attorney did not perform its own investigations of an officer involved shooting. Instead, the DA would allow the Dallas Police Department to investigate themselves and wait for them to send over an investigation, which always exonerated themselves and exonerated the officer of any wrongdoing. In Clinton's case, the DA's office ignored sworn notarized statements from 5 witnesses that were there that saw things and that heard things that could have changed the outcome of this case, that could have gotten justice for Clinton and could have gotten this policeman off the street forever or not being a police officer. But that did not happen. In this timeline of completely unaccountable fatal police shootings, continued through June of 2017 when an officer was indicted of an aggravated assault for shooting 13 times into a stalled vehicle, killing an unarmed driver who happened to be a young mother of 2. And then the following year, a Dallas officer killed Bolton John in his own home, an unarmed Black man from St. Lucia. That officer was convicted of murder in 2019. These beginning steps toward police accountability in Dallas are largely the result of MAPB's of our campaign in 2013 and 2014 to establish a civil rights unit within the DA's office to start investigating police shootings. Reforms like these and others, like and ending certain chokeholds and no knock warrants, for example, make things incrementally better. But I have to share it with you. These reforms are no match for the deep currents of racism and brutality that run through our police departments in the United States. There is a Derek Chauvin on every police force in this country, and there's more than one, as evidenced by the ongoing, almost routine killing of Black men, as well as officers own racist, anti-Islamic, and violent social media posts that we all have witnessed. We are suffering. This is a national crisis of lethal police brutality fueled by racism and the lack of accountability when policemen kill. Let me emphasize this last point. We are suffering. I have used my grief as fuel to help power this movement and our organization. I work hard to change things, and I laugh at times like anyone else. But you would be mistaken if you think there's not a single moment that I do not suffer, think about Clinton or suffer the loss of losing Clinton and feel the bereft and anger of the years stolen from Clinton, from his children, from me by the Dallas Police Department. This grief is so debilitating. It has almost single handedly destroyed our family. The grief and suffering from losing Clinton, for me, has literally changed my DNA. And of course, I am not the only mother suffering this incomparable loss. Each year, MAPB sponsors a Speak Out against police brutality and injustice in my son's memory. Let me share with you some brief moments from the Speak Out. And these are testimonies from some families and from some of the recent sessions of the Clinton R. Allen Speak Out.
Just think about your child. Just think about your brother. Just put yourself in another human being's shoes.
You hear people say that sometimes you just need to get over it, or friends say you need to get over and move on, but that's easy to say when it's not you.
It is truly like, wow, us, you never really think about it happening to you and you feel for the other people, but it happened and my heart broke. I have a broken heart.
If I tell you the whole story, I wouldn't be able to talk because it's that hurtful.
Not only have my life changed, but the lives of my family, close friends, and even some people that I didn't even know.
What started out as a celebration of birth, my cousin's 45th birthday party, ended in tragedy. It ended in an off-duty Arlington police officer shooting and killing my brother, Wame, my only sibling.
And my heart drops because no one calls me that early in the morning. And my other sister says they killed him. And I say, killed who? And they say, Marquise.
It just keeps going over and over in my mind. How can you shoot an individual while they're sitting in their car and justify it? You can't.
My name is Quinta Sanders. My son's name is Torrey Sanders. He was murdered May 5th, 2017 in Charleston, Missouri, Mississippi County in a sheriff's department. He was murdered by the sheriffs, jailers, and also police officers of Charleston, Missouri, Mississippi County. A mother never wants to bury her child. Yes, I had to bury my son. Next month would have been his 32nd birthday. He didn't get to make it there. We paid an awful big price. Not only myself, not only his siblings, he has 2 brothers, but also his children.
We miss you, Daddy!
And yet my family still is left broken. Instead of them, like my son was murdered for nothing. He had no reason to stop him. My son wasn't committing a crime. But they immediately started attacking my son's character, and he was the victim. They uplifted this police officer. When he killed my son, they promoted him to SWAT. He got paid leave. So you kill my son, you get a promotion, and you get paid for it. And our family is broken.
So we need to come together and fight the system. Until we break the system, this is going to continue to happen because the police officers have become the judge the jury, and the executioners of our family members, and they have given them that right.
Mothers Against Police Brutality, our work is grounded in the experiences of the families like the ones that you've just seen on the video who speak at our protest and our hearings. And there are mothers throughout the country who will not let us forget the lives of their children and our children that were stolen by extrajudicial killings that have become a routine part of law enforcement. I want to emphasize that police brutality is a national crisis, and we need a nationwide movement, a national strategy, and national legislative policy changes in order to end it. Because law enforcement abuse of human rights plays right at the local level, at the hands of local officials, we sometimes can't see the breadth of the crisis. Our condition is like that of Black Americans across the southern states in the 1960s, whose rights to vote were routinely denied. Then the right to vote for Black citizens were blocked by the local county registrar or the election department. But that right is guaranteed in the Constitution. And Martin Luther King, Fannie Lou Hamer, John Lewis, and others rightly demanded a national response to the ongoing massive violation of our constitutional right to vote. The people killed by police daily in our country, we should remember, have not been convicted of any crime, and certainly not one punishable by death. Should our right to life and liberty and equal justice under the law be denied by any police officer with a gun or by any one district attorney in the 3,000 counties of the United States of America? Does the Constitution not apply in every one of those counties? The civil rights generation says that it does, and so do we. We therefore need a national standard for the use of deadly force. We need federal investigators and prosecutors on every case of a fatal police shooting and police violence. The district attorneys and county prosecutors of this nation have utterly failed to hold accountable police officers who kill us. Look at the facts. A police officer can do anything to you in this country, even kill you. And in 995 of those cases, out of 1,000, nothing will ever happen. No charges, no indictments, no trial, no punishment. We also need to provide compensation for victims of police brutality and for the families who lose their children to official homicide. Compensation is often denied under the various state laws and programs concerning victims' compensation. Just for the mere fact, if you or your loved one is killed by a policeman, they are automatically disqualified from partaking in any type of compensation statewide in almost every state in America. We see sometimes large legal settlements for wrongful death that are occasionally reported in the media, but most families are left with nothing but grief. We know that during the U.S. occupation of Iraq, many of us were surprised to learn that when American soldiers killed Iraqi citizens, civilians, they were given compensation. Compensation was provided to the families of victims. Shall such payments made in a war zone, however commendable it be denied to families of U.S. citizens killed here at home by our own government? I think that's something we have to think about. And I will provide the commission with more information on our proposal for policy change in a follow-up memo. Let me close by saying that police abuse of citizens is a worldwide phenomenon. As seen in the recent protest in Nigeria, we understand the necessity for global solidarity. For our struggle to be successful, we need international pressure on the United States to end unaccountable police violence. In bringing this crisis to the United Nations, we are reminded that the last campaign of Malcolm X was to bring the struggles of Black people in the United States to the international arena of human rights. Malcolm X was nothing if not a realist when it came to the issue of Black people, the issue of justice for Black people. But the international community lifted his hope. I'd like to share with you that hope, which is our hopes also, in Malcolm's own words from his 1964 outline for petition to the United Nations. And I'll read it for you now. After 300 years of slavery and caste oppression, unmitigated terror and torture, physical and otherwise, which continues today, though opposed by every means possible of human conception, we feel the United Nations must give a hearing to the plight of Black Americans. After years and years of supplication, petitioning, pleading, and agitation for affirmation of basic human rights, all to no avail, we see no recourse but to put our case to you, the representatives and delegates to the United Nations. We come to you because we see in your deliberations and debates, and the accords which often issue forth, where and now the conscience of mankind can be utilized as an invaluable aid in righting wrongs and securing peace and understanding and well-being. We see the United Nations as the institution wherein world opinion and the conscience of mankind can be appealed to. Mothers Against Police Brutality stands in that tradition, appealing to the world opinion and the conscience of mankind to help us in our struggle for justice. Thank you.